York, and then you have Asian. But then Asian, you also have Sydney. But then we look at it as one thing, Sydney and Asian, because Sydney starts an hour before Asian starts.
Okay.
Yes, but we'll just look at it as Asian session.
Yeah.
Right. So those are the sessions that we have. So Asian session happens from midnight. From midnight till what time is that? Till an hour. Is it an hour? An hour before London session opens, right? Then from there you have Frankfurt opens an hour before London opens. That's so Frankfurt opens the moment Asian closes, and then you have London. So Frankfurt is just an hour ahead of London, but we just also call it like it's part of London session.
Yeah.
And then you have New York session that opens it's 3:00 my time, so that means 4:00 your time.
Right.
Yes. But then because of the daylight savings, right? I think it's going to change. You know how you can be ahead by 2 hours and then you can be ahead by 1 hour. So when the daylight savings happens, right, the times also change. So they go back an hour. So instead of it opening at 3 my time, it will open at 2. That means it's 3 your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it will happen, but they will tell us when it's about to happen.
Okay.
Yes. And then you have those are the 3 sessions that we have, right? So in these 3 sessions that we have, the good times to trade them, normally it's when the session opens. That's when you can catch a big move, because remember, price makes a big move and then it retraces or consolidates for a while before it continues in that direction.
Yeah.
So when a session opens, right, normally there's a big move that happens. Which pushes price in the direction that we need it to go before it consolidates or ranges. Then during the session, of course, that's when it will do the retracements and the consolidation. But most of the time, when the session opens, it makes a big move. Like right now, if we look at, this is GBP USD, right? So the session opened 20 minutes ago and it opened right here. See this? Right.
Yeah.
Give me a minute. So yeah, you see this is the last candle, right, that printed, right? This was the Frankfurt candle. So the move that's happening right now, that's the opening move of the market. Let me enlarge it. You see this bearish move that's happening right now?
Yeah.
Yes, so that the whole move is the opening of the market. This move, this whole move, right? If you look at this whole move, this was during Asian session. This was all Asian session, and then when London opened, price broke out. So most of the time, Asian session will range because there's less volume in the markets. There's only Asian market that's open in Sydney, but the people who trade mostly all the big banks are not opened at this moment. They're all closed. That means there are less people in the market, and when there are less people in the market, they can't really move price in a certain direction because they don't have enough buyers or sellers. That means there's less volume at this time. So market normally tends to range. So if you open your charts and you notice that Asian has been ranging, right? Normally it makes a big move like it did right now on London opening. That's what people try to aim for. And if you miss that, the next one would have to be New York. But for now, let's talk about Asian. So you see how today Asian ranged, and then we had a breakout during London session, right? So sometimes Asian can trend and then during London session and New York, we get a range.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want, so most of the time, 90% of the time actually, if you want to see, let's say you're trading London opening, right? And if you want to see if you're going to have a trade, you're going to check if Asian ranged or trended. If Asian ranged like the way it did last night, then we had high chances of getting a trade, like what happened right now. If Asian, let's say if this had been Asian, right, we would see this as London session. London session would start consolidating like this, because once they get a trend, right, they need to accumulate. Let's say price is falling, right, they need to accumulate more buyers for them to sell price. Without buyers, they can't sell price because there's no one who's buying what they're selling.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's Asian, right? So on Asian session, if you're trading Asian session, right, that's during the night, that's in the middle of the night. So I don't know, maybe one day you decided to trade Asian, or maybe New York session was ranging, that you think there's a possibility that Asian session is going to trend. Then the pairs that you're going to trade, that you're going to want to trade during Asian session, right, are pairs that have yen only and odd and New Zealand dollar. So if you're trading Asian, right, the best pairs to trade would be Euro yen, GBP yen, odd yen, NSD yen, pairs like that, the yen pairs. Or odd USD is also good for Asian session because of odd, and then NSD USD is also good because of NSD. However, I would not suggest you trading pound or Euro USD, because both of those markets are off. Only yen and the odds is on. So you would want to concentrate more on the yen pairs, because they are being moved by yen, so it's easy for them to move in a certain direction. Like for example, let's look at, I'm sure you've never tried looking at odd yen. Let's try that. Like, let's look at odd yen and odd USD. So you know how they are also very similar. This is odd yen. Odd yen, right? It has a simpler view with compared to odd USD. Like, let's compare to odd USD right now. I'll compare it to odd USD right now. All right, so this is odd USD. You see the line?
Yeah.
That's odd USD. You see how how it's very similar? Because even if we turn odd yen into a line, you see how it's very similar.
Yeah.
Yes. So odd yen and odd USD, they have a correlation, so they move very similar to each other. The same way Euro yen and Euro USD move in a very similar way. So let's say you want to trade the thing with odd yen, right? It's not the best pair to trade during Asian session, because it has both odd and yen open at the same time. So it might move the same way as odd USD, but it tends to give you small candles like these ones, because there isn't much happening on it. Both of the currencies are on, so they are struggling. They have a conflict with each other. Especially with the fact that they move very similar to each other. Like if you look at this, price will normally give us small candles like these ones. That's literally most of its move. It's only once when something big happens, or when there's more volume. I think this was during New York session, that it tends to give us the big strong candles. Otherwise, most of the time it tends to range in a very small area, giving us small candles. So I wouldn't suggest trading odd yen. If you want to trade Asian session, I would suggest odd USD or NSD USD, because NSD USD, it actually moves better let's do this. Odd. Let's look at NSD USD. This is NSD USD. It actually moves quite interesting if you're able to catch a good entry. So with NSD USD, right, the setups are easier to interpret than with odd USD, because this one actually reacts to its zones better than odd USD. Because if we were to look at the zones right here, this is the 1 hour time frame, right? If we were to analyze, right, let's analyze it straight from the 1 hour time frame. This is what we have on our chart. This is what we're going to work on. So we're going to first place this high. We won't be using that high very soon, but we're just going to make note of it. And then we had a drop right here, right? But then we had a high that was created here, and then it's being respected over here and over here. That means price was consolidating. So we're going to highlight this high. And then if price was consolidating, that means there should be a base area. We're also going to highlight our base area. We're guessing it was this one. This was the first, this was the last one. There's also this base area that price was looking at, right? But we're just going to use this one because it's covering everything. Remember, a zone is an area, not a line, because if we take this one, we would have to put a box to highlight this whole area, because price is reacting to that whole area. Price reacted to it over here, then it reacted to it over here, and then it dipped down to create this low, and then price still reacted over here, but we're still gonna have to recognize this low, because for price to continue, it has to break that low now. This the one a few pips above it doesn't matter anymore, because price can easily break that one, but the important one is the low that has been created, which is this low. Yeah, so I'm going to move the box because we now have that in our minds. And then we had after price broke out, right, it made two strong bearish candles, which are these ones. I'm pretty sure you can see them, right? And it created a low right here. So I'm going to put a low right there, right? So price consolidated all the way right here, right? And then it broke out here, and then it created a low right here. So even though this bullish candle didn't exactly get to our broken support, which is now resistance, we can say it was a retest. It was a retest that even created a new lower high. So we're saying it was a retest because it did try going back to the now resistance, but there wasn't enough volume to push it to actually touch the resistance. But it did try, and then it created a lower high, and then price came all the way down to our support that was created when price fell, right? And it created a small range right here. It created a small range on that support. So this was our confirmation that a sell should be coming very soon, because see, these prices didn't have let me clear this. So you see these candles, right? They didn't have much selling pressure to push price like these candles did, right? But they did push, and price did break this zone that we have here, right? And when price broke, right, it created a small range right here, and all of these bullish candles that we tried to go above failed to close above our support, which meant that price had high chance of being pushed down, because we had the first signal when price fell, right? The second confirmation when price retested. The final confirmation was when price broke the support and started consolidating, and price was refusing to get back above the support. And then we had a strong bearish candle that broke. Remember, we said...
Is that your final confirmation?
The final confirmation...
Is that when you go in?
The time when you go in. The time when you go in is... the first entry, right? If you're a risky trader, you can enter at this top consolidation, right? When price is consolidation, when you notice this consolidation, that price keeps refusing to go back into that range. The safer entry would you place your the second less risky entry would be, let's say you place your stops just below the range, right? You say you place your sell stop so that when price moves, starts selling, it opens your stop and just goes with it. Or you wait for this breakout candle to close and then you enter when it closes. So the safer entry would have been when this candle broke out and closed as a strong bearish candle, then you enter, then that would have been your entry. So right now you would have been in the trade either by any of those three entries. We have the entry at the top of the consolidation, or at the bottom as price is breaking, you enter with it, or you wait for the candle to close and you enter then. Because the one where the candle is breaking, right, it's risky in the sense that price can break and still come back to close back in the range.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so sometimes it's best to wait for it to actually close outside the range and then you enter. It might be some may want to call it a late entry, but it's still a better entry than to risk a lot.
Yeah.
Assuming the price will go down. So this is NSD USD. So if you actually want to add some pairs to yours, I would suggest NSD USD than odd USD.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And
you said you would prefer me to do gold instead of odd USD, right?
Yes. So if you want like a bigger range of pairs, you would maybe have Euro USD, gold, and NSD USD, so that you have more things to play around with.
Yeah.
But maximum 4.
Okay, gotcha. So let me write down the time again. So NSD USD was which time?
So this pair, right, would be best to trade during Asian session, but then if you also want to trade it around these times, right, I'm saying it's good to trade around these times because it doesn't react. It doesn't how can I say it? It's not as complex as odd USD, because if we look at odd USD right now, right, most of the times it doesn't exactly respond to the zones well. There is more to it than NSD USD. You see, this is odd USD, right?
Yeah.
But then if we look at NSD USD, it's more simpler. The chart is more simpler to read than odd USD.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, this one is clearly showing you the range, the breakout, and the tiny range, right? These pairs actually move the same way because NSD and odd, they are all the same thing. They're all coming from the same continent. However, odd USD, let's compare it actually. Odd USD is just a more complex pair because I think odd USD has more happening on it, since odd is more, I don't know, it has more that's happening on it than NSD.
Yeah.
Considering the currency or even the continent and everything like that, considering the fundamentals behind it, it has more that's happening than NSD USD, because NSD USD, right, if it says this is the range, that's the range, it sticks to that range. When you're looking at odd USD, right, it's more of it tricks people into thinking that it's going in a certain direction. Like if we look at it, right, remember that time when we said this pair will break, I think it was right here. Remember the time when we looked at the chart when the pair was right here, right?
Yeah.
And we're expecting it to keep on going down to this low, and then at some point we'll see that low getting broken, right? So within that space of time, it eventually broke today. This is the breakout, right? But however, this is the amount of time that you just had to wait for that breakout. And if price was supposed to consolidate in this area until it gives us that breakout, we're supposed to see price between this low, right? The low that I've highlighted here and this high. Price was supposed to stay in between this consolidation, but it's so complex that it went on to give us a new high. We understand why it gave us a new high, but it wasn't necessary. Because now it's just giving us more things to consider before we take our trade, when we could have simply looked at NSD USD and watched it, and we could have watched it respect the consolidation. See, this is NSD USD. It respected the consolidation.
Yeah,
so for a beginner, this would have been the better pair to look at than odd USD.
Okay,
so that's Asian session. Also, Asian session, if you want to know if Asian session is going to trend, right, look at New York session. If New York session gives you something like this, let's say this would have been this area right here. If you see your pair is something like this during New York session, right, this ranging type of movement, right, then Asian session is high chances of trending. So you can actually do your analysis before you go to bed and place your limits, so that if it so happens to trade, market will open your orders with it. If you're correct, market will open your orders with it, and your trade is live whilst you're sleeping.
Okay.
But then the only way, you can't do that all the time. You can only do that when New York session ranges like that, or any type of range, but it just has to range. Because if you look at this move, right, these two bearish candles, right, this was New York session trending. This was the trend of New York session. It trended till almost it closed, which is a sign that Asian session isn't going to do much. But if New York session had ranged, then we would have seen something happen on Asian session.
Okay.
Right. So that's Asian session. So the next thing would be London session. The London session actually has the most volume. I mean, London is more going on because London is also connected to Euro, and Euro is bigger than almost everything. And London, well, it's on top of the world, it's pound. So it has more volume than most of the session, and it also overlaps with New York session. That means there will be two sessions open at the same time, which gives us even more volume in the markets. However, London session closes, I think it closes 2 to 3 hours after New York opens. I'm not sure, but I know it closes sometime after New York opens. So the opening and the closing of London session, they are very busy. Like, there's a lot that happens during those two times. They make big moves during those two times, because when, let's say, if Asian was trending, right, the opening of London session, if Asian was ranging, right, the opening of London session is going to trend because Asian was preparing for it. So let's say the opening of New York session, let's say the opening of New York session sort of ranged, right? Or it wasn't moving that much. The closing of London session is going to give us volume, because the time before that was preparing for that closing. And after that closing, that's when we get a very dead New York session. That's when New York starts ranging, because the closing of London session, right, gave us the volume. So after that, you would have a dead New York session. So most of the time, we always have, that's why they say, like, after London closes, don't trade. Most of the time, New York doesn't do much after London closes, because the big move that was supposed to happen happened when London was closing.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So, like, if you are hoping to, trading isn't that hard, because you can aim for these times. You can just watch, okay, I'm going to watch pre-London session so that you trade the London opening. So when you're watching pre-London session, you're checking if it's ranging, if there's any big moves, is it showing you, what are the candles showing you, where are the candles showing you where the pressure is, things like that, and then that will give you the trade as London is opening. But if pre-London is now trending, then don't expect anything during the opening of London. Don't expect much. You can get a big move, right, and then it continues to range. So just don't expect much. Anything can happen, but don't expect much if pre-London was ranging. That's Asian. So also there's big news that tends to happen an hour or 2 hours after London session opens. News happens all the time. So we have pound and euro news that normally come around that time. So when you want to trade, it's best to look if you have news that day. Normally, I'll send you the link of the app that you need to download to get your news. So you get notified.
Yeah.
Or you can just check yourself to see if there's news. So if there's news, normally they will range the opening of if there's big news that's going to move the market, you will notice it will range the opening. And then when the news comes in, that's when it will start trending. So when you're watching out for a trade, it's also best to know if there is news so that you know why the markets are not trending at that moment, and you don't get agitated by waiting.
Yeah.
So the best pairs that would be best to trade during opening of London session, right, is pound USD and euro USD, pound yen, and euro yen. Those are the best pairs to trade during London. So trust me, if you want the best pair to trade during London session, pound USD.
Okay.
Pound USD, even euro USD, pound USD and euro USD, mainly because the main focus is on pound and euro. That's where all the volume is coming on. And USD at this moment it's still closed. So it's only pound or euro, and pound USD actually moves. It makes big moves within a short period of time. So I would suggest, you're already looking at euro USD, so that's good.
Yeah.
But then if you want something that's more intimidating, I would go for pound USD, because euro USD, right, it's a slower pair than pound USD. Pound USD is faster. Like, for example, this is pound USD, right? This is a 1 hour chart. We're going to analyze this 1 hour chart. So we had this high that was rejected yesterday. This is yesterday's rejection, right? Price was actually consolidating on the 4 hour time frame. So we also have this support that price just broke when London opened. You see, this is the support. The last candle before London opened is this one. It was rejecting the support, but the next one that came quickly broke the support. We were expecting that though. And then those are the support that was broken, right? And then we also have this minor support right here. If price comes back into if this price comes back and closes right here, this is the support that you want to get. This is the resistance that you want price to break for it to continue going up. And then so we have those 2 points highlighted, right? We're going to go on our 4 hour time frames just to check if price is to continue going down, right? Where is it going down to next? I would say this low right here. Yeah. So if this price continues going down, I'm expecting it to reach this low. Because right now it has to close below this support. You see where price is at right now?
Yeah.
There is a support. You see this area was a support. So that means, remember that box that we put that other time? We're putting that box right here because this whole area is our support. I will teach you how to use this candle to determine that support. But for now, it's good to notice that price created a support right here, right? Right here, right? So we had this support when it was created by this candle, right? It broke out here, it retested. So when it broke out, it was breaking resistance. When price came back to retest, it became support and the rejection, right? So when price came down, it reacted to the support. It didn't touch the base of the support, but it was reacting to the support because, like we always say, a zone is an area, not a line. So this whole zone right here, using this small consolidation that we have right here, that's how we have this box that we put all the way down here, saying that this price was reacting to this support, although it was rejecting a few pips above, but it was reacting to the basis of the support, which is right here. So for this price to continue down to this support, we needed to close below where price is at right now. That's the base of the support. So if price closes below this support, which it looks like it might, we will see price fall to the next support.
Yeah.
So yesterday, okay, now we have where price is going to go next, right? We're going to go back on our 1 hour time frame, because that's where we are trading. We're just looking for where the next support is going to go. So yesterday, this was the New York session, right? New York session rejected the high and it dropped. It made a huge drop, right? And then price started consolidating. This was Asian session. Price was ranging, right? And then this range was telling us that London session is going to trend. The opening of London session is going to trend. That's this candle that we're having. This is the trend, right? So if this candle is to close the way it is right now, right, we would want to watch out. Of course, the next candle can just open and start falling, right? But we would want to watch out for a retest and then continue falling. So someone would just watch to see it create a bullish candle and then a bearish candle. When it's attempting to break this support it's creating right now, then you would enter. However, you can also enter a risky trade by setting a sell limit right here, or you can even open it manually when price gets there. But some will prefer opening a sell limit, so when price retests, it can hit your sell limit and then it continues falling. So whatever it does around this area, you will be in that trade and then it can continue falling, because we could see price ranging around this area. Because remember, this is a support, this is a strong support. If we look at the bigger time frames, so we could see price range in this area, but looking at the way it's dropping right now, we might not. There's big news later, there's NFP later, so price is they're going to drive price in a certain direction so that they are able to enter at a very good price, the price that they want. So we might see the pairs trending a lot before this news come in, because they're trying to drive price to a certain area, which tricks retail traders into thinking that the trend is changed. For example, right now it's breaking a strong support. This is the support price needed to break for the trend to change into a bearish trend, because right now we were in a bullish trend, right? And we were looking at this consolidation as a reversal, as our reversal area for the bullish trend to continue. But the fact that price is now breaking, we might see it dropping to the next support right here, and people are going to start thinking that the trend has changed, only for them to actually reverse price at the next support right here, and then the bullish trend continues because of news. But if they don't do that, right, and price keeps on falling throughout news, right, then the trend is changed. We're only now looking for sales, mostly sales setups on pound USD. But considering that there's news later, I wouldn't be trying to catch most of the trades right now. If I was going to be trading right now, I would be more careful, because most of these moves are just there to get our money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to be more careful on days like these ones. Fridays and Mondays. Mondays, if you want to trade, better trade in the afternoon than in the morning, and then Fridays, it's better to trade in the morning than in the afternoon. However, it's also if you have had a profitable week, it's also best not to trade on Friday, because Friday trading is very tricky. Sometimes it moves, sometimes it doesn't, and people end up over risking because they want to catch that big move before the weekend. So mentally wise, I would suggest not trading on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, just to keep your money. So I would suggest pound USD. Since you're already doing good, right? You might do good with pound USD also. So if you wanna add that, if you wanna add that to your list, that's a good pair to add.
Yeah, I added that too.
All right. So
NSD, USD, pound USD, gold USD, and euro USD.
Yes, you can remove odd USD.
Yeah, I removed odd USD. Yeah.
Okay, good. So pound USD, we said it's good to trade opening of London session, right? But then you can also trade pound USD even after New York opens, right? But then the best option to trade during that time would be pound yen. So when London session opens, pound yen would be better to trade because only pound at that time is controlling it and yen is still off. And if you were to look at pound USD after New York session opens, right, it means that USD is also open at that time. So it's a little bit conflicting than if you trade pound yen, because if you look at this move, right, which is you see this move, right? This bullish move that we had right here, right? I think New York session opened right here. You see this support? This was the opening of New York session right there, right? If we are to look at pound yen, this is pound yen. And then let's say pound yen, let me look for it. This was the opening of New York session. Do you see this whole move?
Yeah.
That was the opening of New York session.
Whoa.
So you see how it's bigger than on pound USD.
Yeah.
Because now on pound yen, right, it's only pound that's controlling the pair. So all of the power, because pound was strong yesterday, so all of the power that it has, right, is the only thing that's moving the pair. It's now different on pound USD. This is pound USD. It can move, like if you look at price here, it did move, but it's not as strong as pound yen because this was also responding to USD.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the moment when New York session opens, it would be best to look at pound yen than pound USD.
Okay.
Yes, they still move very similar, right? But then, if you want the big move, I would rather have you trade pound yen during this time.
Okay.
New York time. So I think that's all on London session. I mean, you can also look at euro pairs. And yeah, see, this is euro USD. Oh, this was a nice trade. Yeah, this is euro USD, and this is also euro yen. Euro yen is more complex than euro USD, so I'd rather have you stick to euro USD. It is more happening than pound yen. Than euro yen. And then London session. Is now, New York session. Oh, my bad. New York session. Okay, so New York session, it's a good, I can't really say it's the best session to trade, but it's actually a good session to trade if there's the volume, because New York session sometimes doesn't have the volume that you need, especially with the fact that after London closes, after that, there's nothing happening. So the best times to trade New York session would be pre-New York, let's do London session, and after New York opens. And there's also New York stock market opening on an hour 30 minutes after New York opens. So if New York opens and you're seeing a range and it's still ranging, it does not do anything, that means when New York stock market opens, that's where the trade is going to be.
Gotcha.
New York stock market is very important because that's where all the New York volume comes from. When New York opens, it's just New York. There's no stock market there. So when the stock market opens, right, it brings more volume. It brings more volume into the market.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most of the trades are. So if New York opens and it trends, that means it's most likely that New York stock market is going to range.
Okay.
Yes. So the best pairs to trade during New York opening that are connected to New York or to USD, I would suggest none of them. Okay, because I have a point for that, because if we look at USD JPY, right? USDN. Okay, it's unfortunate that this actually trended for a while, but normally it does not trend for anything, and it has a low value pip count. That means in a 4-hour candle, this can only just be 10 pips. But if you look at other pairs, a 4-hour candle can be 50 pips.
Mm-hmm.
So for some time, USDN is for people who are very patient. That's one. Two, for people who are, how can I say it? For people who are looking for a swing trade.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking for a short trade, right? This move, let's say you took this trade, right? It's only like 7 pips. That's so little.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a big move for you to actually get much from USD. It's a good pair to trade for beginners. That's what they say, but I find it more complex for beginners than other pairs, because see, this is how it moves. It was
Mm-hmm.
like right now, it was in a downtrend, right? But then this downtrend isn't really moving the way we would want a downtrend to happen. It's consolidating 90% of the time. It consolidates 90% of the time. The value of its pip, it's very low. And for you to actually catch a very good move that will give you much profits, right? That's when you need moves like this. See this breakout?
Yeah.
That's when you need moves like this. But then even if you look at the move, even if you look at this move, right? Look at how these candles started. They were very small.
Mm-hmm.
And when this one happened, it was probably a lot of people probably sold there because they were expecting it to fall. Because the candles previous to that, right? They did break out, but they didn't have any pressure, right? Meaning, price actually had high chances of falling when that small bearish candle happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So for you to trade USDN, you have to actually wait for a swing trade, and that swing trade will take a very long time. It's now different with other pairs where a swing trade doesn't take much time.
Gotcha.
Like you can enter a swing trade that won't take as long as USDN to hit your target.
Gotcha.
Yes. Do you have any questions?
No, that was perfect. Now I know exactly which pairs to look at.
All right. So the pairs, it's very important to know which pairs to look at what time, to be honest, like, because that's when you catch most of the big moves. Because if you're looking at the wrong pair during the wrong session, right, you're most likely going to caught in a very bad trade. For example, if we are to let's look at USD card right now. USD card, That's a New York session, but I wouldn't advise it because it has both USD and CAD in it. You see the price action that's happening right now. This is USD CAD.
Whoa.
It doesn't do anything. It consolidates most of the time, and when it actually trends, that means you have to wait for a very long time, and you have to be very skilled in determining where it's going to reverse at.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't respect levels the way it should. Most of the time, it doesn't respect levels, and when it does, it's most likely you won't be there to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but USD CAD is also it's a complex pair. It's for someone who have trained their emotional and their mental state very well. When you're now at a point where you can enter a trade without having any feeling towards it.
Right.
Yes, that's USD CAD. This is USD CAD. So if we were to trade USD CAD, right, you would wait for a breakout right here. You'd be waiting for price to break out right here for it to go up to that next high. But you see this area, right? This area is right here. So now this is also another area that it actually has to break out from for it to continue going up, because we might see it go up, and then from here it will reject. But then when price goes up here, a lot of people are going to buy it.
Yeah.
Hoping that price continues to go up to this resistance. So this area right here, it's a very important area, because price can fake out and then continue consolidating, because right now we have this that's determining our resistance. If we go to the bottom right here, we had this, right?
Yeah.
That's saying this 1, 2 on the support. Automatically, that's a consolidation. So price can give us a fake out and then comes back, closes back in the range. The moment it closes back in the range, it's still consolidating. So we might see price come back to the low, and then it continues consolidating.
Yeah.
It's a very bad pair to trade, and it doesn't move as fast as other pairs, honestly.
Right.
It really doesn't. Let us check the 1 minute time frame. Yeah, there you go. This is the 1 minute time frame. You see these candles?
Yeah.
It doesn't move as good as the other pairs. These are the candles on the 1 hour time frame. I wanna check the pound. Let's check pound USD 1 minute time frame. Pound USD 1 minute time frame. See, it's the candles are much better. They are actually moving in a direction, because this 1 minute time frame. Because see, price made a low, it came back to retest. Price made a new low, came back to retest. Still, price came down. It's creating new lows, and the more it creates new lows, the more it pushes price down. If it's not creating new lows, then it's not pushing price down. The same way is if price is going to go up, it has to create new highs for it to continue going up. Otherwise, it's consolidating. Like what we saw on USD CAD. This is USD CAD, and then we're going to go on the 1 hour time frame. See, it wasn't creating new highs. It's now just trying to drop. Unless if it creates a new high over there, then we can say price is pushing up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's everything on sessions for now.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was really good.
You don't have any questions?
No, just you said Monday it would be best to trade in the afternoon, and Friday not at all, or in the morning.
Yes, so if let's say like what happened today, if Asian session like Thursday night, every Asian session, if it ranged, if it was like a proper range, and then you can trade Friday morning. But if there wasn't any range during Asian session and it sort of trended, if you measure the range, right, or the movement that Asian did, right, and it's more than 50 pips in a certain direction, then it's best not to even trade on Friday.
Okay.
Because the move has happened during Asian session. So whatever that's happening during London session might just get destroyed during New York session, and then you end up getting trapped in trades that you weren't supposed to be on a Friday.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so Monday, it's best to watch the markets in the morning and then dive in late afternoon, or even not trade it. If you don't see anything, then wait for Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, because Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those are the best days to trade.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think that's all for today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, is that it? Let's see. So on XM, I can shoot on the demo account. It's not possible to change the leverage, but on the live account it is, because I just created a live account now.
Yes, on the live account, put 1.888.
1.888, and that's the smallest. Or what is that like?
No, it's good. It's bigger, so it allows you to be able to place more trades than with a lesser leverage.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because that way we're trying to avoid the risk of your account getting account being caught for full margin. Because if your account goes on full margin, that means you're on bad trades and you can't place any more trades. And since you're still learning and practicing, put the bigger one so that you have more room to play around.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yes.
Nice. All right, so today's Friday, so just gonna analyze and watch.
Yes, and it's NFP today later, so I think for our next session we will touch on news trading.
Yeah, great. And so you can send me the news app or the one you use.
All right, so I'm going to send you the name of the app for news that you need to have, and the app for session, so that you are notified when a certain session opens and closes.
Great. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so that the more you hear the notifications, it will get easy for you to remember the times next time. Like for me, I don't even need, I just know it opens at this time.
Yeah,
so
that would be helpful.
So I'm going to send you those two.
Great, perfect. All right. Thank you. Yeah, it was nice.
Yes. All right, so that's it for today. I'm going to end the stream right here. And
all right.
Don't forget to send me your zones.
Yeah, I will, for sure. Thanks.
Especially NSD, USD.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to end the session now.
Thank you.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye.